Hello everyone. Behind me you are seeing the iron farm you're about to build. Um, so the way that it works is this is a really bad time to be showcasing this. During the day, just quick time set 2000, that is the time. During the day, from around mid-morning to mid-afternoon, you can look at the specific times on the Minecraft wiki, but whenever these villagers are working, you can see that, oh, you just saw it back there. He stepped down onto the fletching table, or whatever workstation you decide to use. More on that with the materials list. But you can see he wants to step down, but then the zombie. He gets line of sight with the zombie, gets scared from the zombie, and goes up to bed. Now many times set night, and how it works at night. You can even see it there in the back and right out here front. But you can see that the villager sleeps, but then he gets line of sight with the zombie. And once again, when all three villagers achieve line of sight, the golem drops down into the kill chamber, where he's pushed into a corner and then burned by lava. Again, one spawn. Quick. I need to show that this actually works. There we go. You saw a golem spawn during the day, and there's one during the night. Here we go. You can see he's pushed over to the corner to die from lava, and then all of his items are immediately picked up by that hopper down there. You can see this was running a little bit before the video as well. And the rates of this iron farm, you're going to be getting about 313 to 314 iron per 1 hour you're running the farm. And then poppies, you are going to be getting almost 80, probably closer to 79-ish poppies per hour. Now do note that all of these tests were performed 100 times. However, all of these tests were tick sprinted for 3 days, which is the equivalent of 1 hour. That should not affect rates too much. You can even see right in the back there, those are all the chests with the tests. But even then, take those values with a grain of salt, but you should still be able to get, on average, 300 plus iron per hour. And if you're farming this for the poppies, just make a bone meal farm. But if you're farming this for the poppies, you'll be getting 75 plus an hour on average. So I talked about the materials a little bit, so why don't I talk about them now? Here are all of the materials you are going to need for this build. We're going to need 35 of any building block, 4 of any stair, 5 of any slab, a water bucket, though you can bring 2, and I recommend bringing 2, but I'll show how you can build this farm with just 1 water bucket. You're going to need 3 beds, 3 villagers, 3 of any workstation, 3 carpets, 1 boat, and you may want to bring another, then I'll showcase that when showcasing capturing the zombie. And then you are going to need 1 zombie. The villagers and the zombies are shown here in spawn mix. For the kill chamber, you are going to need 3 of any kind of sign, a lava bucket, a hopper, and any container that could be barrel, it could be a shulker box if you're that far in the game, or, as you see here, it can be chests. One thing to note with chests is you will want 2 blocks that have a solid back. So I would not use slabs, but you can use stairs, you can use, as I'm using here, you can use glass blocks. And then down here, this whole bottom row, with the exception of the dirt, is all recommended. or not recommended, optional. All of this down here is optional. If you want to put multiple of these spawning platforms together, you are going to want all of these for one more, as I'm going to call it, village pod. That way, if a villager detects a spawning or detects an iron golem, most likely detecting an iron golem from another platform, that's still the minimum three. There's still the minimum 3 villagers for another iron golem to spawn. You need to get 2 villagers down to be under that minimum with 2 villagers, which is increasingly more rare than 1 villager detecting. And then a lightning rod. You see the lightning rod right up there. That's far enough from the zombie, or it should be far enough from the zombie that the zombie should not die from it, and the boat be should not be destroyed from a lightning strike. That lightning rod is to protect these villagers from becoming witches, which, even if one is converted into a witch, that means that the entire farm is broken, and you gotta get another villager up there, which is not fun. Back to the materials. There's our second boat I talked about a bit ago, and then this dirt here, that can be any scaffold. It can be dirt, you have a lot of cobblestone on hand maybe, or if you want to use actual scaffolding blocks, you absolutely can. Now, let's head over to the building spot. They're jello and editing here. One thing that I forgot to mention is when you are AFKing at this farm, you want to ensure that you always have a ceiling above your head. This is because the villagers can get knocked around and phantoms in the boat, which can offset the zombie just enough that it can get burned from the sky. Now you always, always, always want to AFK in a safe spot, but this farm is prone to breaking from phantoms. So one thing to note is when you are AFKing, have a ceiling above your head, as if you have a ceiling above your head that isn't glass. More info on the wiki with spawning. You always want to make sure you have a ceiling when AFKing, but you also want to in general make sure you are in a safe spot when AFKing. But especially with this farm, it is prone to breaking from phantoms. Anyways, back to the video. I'm here in the building spot. I have the materials chest from the other world. In this world, the only thing that it does not have is a second boat. It also does not have the ingredients. It also does not have the materials for the 4th villager pod. It also only has 1 sign and 1 chest, both of which I am going to get from here. But I am going to be building this farm in survival mode, and yeah. Regarding villagers, I am just going to spawn them in, but if you would like a villager capturing and breeding tutorial, I can make one of those gladly. Simple to do. Yeah, and then with the zombie, I will be spawning it in, but I will also be showcasing how to capture the zombie after spawning it in. Now for building the actual farm itself. The first thing that you want to do is you want to pick out where you want your farm, and you want to go to that block and you want to build up 20 blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Once you are up all 20 blocks, you're going to want to build a 3x3 centered on that pillar you just created. Once you have that entire 3x3 platform, you are going to want to grab your solid blocks and stairs. Now, what you are going to want to do is you are going to want to build a chest plate recipe as if it's in the crafting table, and you want the top facing of the recipe facing in towards the center. You are going to then want to build a stair where the top chunk is where the chunk out of it is facing up and out, away from the center. You are going to repeat this for all 4 sides. Even though there are 3 villager pods, you're still going to want to repeat it for all 4 sides. Once you have all 4 sides built, you are going to want to place down temporary blocks in the following order. This will create an infinite, hold on, yeah, this will create an infinite water source that you can use, but wait, I only have 1 bucket of water. Alright, what you want to do is you want to go to any side, and you want to place down a water bucket. Then, you want to follow the water down to the surface, and go to a water source, be that ocean, river, or one that you already set up somewhere. Then you want to swim back up that water column that you made, and you want to place down your first bucket. Then you want to go collect the water wherever you put it, and place a second one in. Now you have an infinite water source, waterlog all of the stairs. Maybe a little difficult. If you need to, you can temporarily place down top slabs over stairs instead of temporary blocks. Then you're still going to want to waterlog these stairs. Once all the stairs are waterlogged, you're going to want to place water in the center block of these 3x3 platforms, except for the 2 that have those slabs, because water won't be able to flow to the slab and will instead flow off. So what you want to do is you want to pick up water from one of the sides, not the center. Then you want to block it off, and then place in a water bucket, and then repeat for the other side. Now you can collect that final piece of water, and you can break the entire infinite water source machine. Next, what you want to do is you want to build up 4 blocks, 1 block out, and then break this block here. You want to replace it with a bottom slab. This will eventually be where the zombie sits in the boat. Next, you want to build up 2 more blocks. And if you are using a lightning rod, you should build up 4 more blocks and place down your lightning rod. Then you want to break those 4 blocks you just created. Make sure that it is the slab, then 2 more blocks, and you want to place down a bottom slab. Then you want to go back to this little ledge you created, and then break those 2 blocks in the middle. Next, you want to build 2 blocks out on top, and place a bottom slab, and then build 3 blocks out from the top slab, and you want to place down a bed. Go around behind the bed to where you can see this bottom temporary block that is on the foot of the bed. Then you want to place down a solid block, a workstation behind the bed, followed by a carpet on the bed. Now you can break all the temporary blocks that are associated with this villager pod. Once that is done, you can go to the next villager pod and begin work on that villager pod. And you want to repeat those same steps for all 3 or 4 of the villager pods. One tip you might want to do is place down the 3 blocks, then place down a solid block, followed by the workstation and carpet before placing down the bed. That was an oopsie on me over here. It uses less resources and it takes less time. And then on this last temporary block, that is where you want to place a bed, where the head of the bed should be right next to that carpet in the back. Now you can destroy all temporary blocks associated with that villager pod, and then you can repeat the process for the remaining villager pods. Once all of the villager pods are placed, you can drop down and collect any temporary blocks if you wish to do so. Next, you can break down this tower, and you can also break down this platform. If you have built everything correctly, all of the water should be flowing to the stair and should not be flowing down any of the sides. There should be a lightning rod up there, space for a zombie, and space for all 3 villagers. Next, you want to dig down, destroying this nerd pole of sorts, until you're down to the last block before the surface. Then you want to score 4 lines in each direction of 2 blocks from this center pole. Then you can destroy it, and then you want to mine out the entire square that this creates. The square should be 5 by 5 and centered on the center of that hole. As you can see, I am standing right where the zombie should be sitting. And then you want to dig this hole 2 more blocks. Once you are finished digging, you should now have a 5 by 5 by 3 hole. Once again, this hole should be centered where the zombie will be sitting in a boat. Next, you want to pick a corner. It can be any corner. And you want to mine out 1 block from that corner. This will be where the hopper is sitting. Next, you want to mine a 2 wide hole that is on the same level as this first hole you created. Then you want to mine out an additional block behind that. From here, you want to place down your container. In this case, it's a chest. Go back in the farm into the kill chamber and place down your hopper. Next, you want to place down, if you are using a chest, you want to place down your glass, and if it turns out to be sand that you're digging into, you want to replace the sand over the glass. This will prevent any iron golems from escaping the kill chamber. Next, you want to pick any direction. I'm just going to pick this direction, and you want to staircase out. If you have brought ladders with you, you can instead use ladders to get out. All you need are 3 ladders, since you can start climbing a ladder if the final lowest block of the ladder is in air. Back once again from editing. What I am talking about with these ladders is that if you happen to have 3 ladders, instead of staircasing out, you can skip this first block, the one that your container is sitting on, and you want to place 3 ladders or more ladders if it is a hill, but you want to place ladders, and you can see that when you walk up to it, you can't go up. But what you have to do is you have to walk up to the ladder, and then you have to jump, and now you can use ladders in your build instead of doing a staircase. In case you don't have the space for a staircase, I recommend ladders, but if you don't have the wood to spare or a tree farm, then you can stick with the staircase, but the ladders are an option, as this is just a staircase to get out. It's not like it's a staircase for mobs or anything like that. Alright, back to the video. Next, what you want to do is you want to go to the opposite corner from where you place the hopper, and you want to place down a water bucket. This water bucket will not be one you collect, unlike the original infinite source. Yeah. Next, over the hopper, you want to place 3 signs like this, and you want to make sure that there is an air block right there. What you could do is, before attempting to place in the lava, you could place in one of your temporary blocks and then breaking it, also proving that you can place it down here, and also proving that the hopper is indeed connected to the chest or container of choice. Now you can wait until all the mobs are in, but one thing you can now do, I won't wait, but you can wait for until the mobs are here and you confirm that golems have started spawning, is now you can place down the lava in between all of the signs. Now this is the entire farm completed. At this point, all you need are mobs to get the farm started and running. If you tested using a temporary block, go down into the chest and make sure that you have your temporary block. If you do not have your temporary block, scoop up the lava and go into the farm, reconnect the hopper. The reason you should scoop up the lava is so that you don't jump as a result of the water and end up dying due to the lava. Alright, so what you are going to want to do is you are going to want to, once the kill chamber is built, what you are going to want to do is you are going to want to build a staircase aiming for that workstation. One way you can do this is by placing a torch, then placing a temporary block, then placing a torch, and placing a temporary block. This conserves on the amount of blocks that you use, but you may also be able to just place blocks in this normal way. You can see that I may have built this staircase too low. In the event you have built the staircase too low, yeah, I built this staircase too low. What you can do is you can turn around and build up, ensuring that you do not let the villagers onto that platform. Then you can turn back around and connect up with the workstations. Once you've connected with the first workstation, you can connect with the other workstations, connecting all of them together and allowing the villagers to reach all of the workstations and all of the beds. This is how you're going to be getting the villagers in. So here I have 3 villagers. They can come from any source, whether it be directly from a village, or you bred them in a villager breeder. Whatever the case, you have these villagers here. It is daytime. I'm going to set it to 3,000 to ensure that the villagers are indeed working. And here, what you can do is either during working hours or sleeping hours, you can set these villagers free to go up the staircase. Now do note they do have a range for both working and for sleeping. But you can see during the day, these villagers are walking up towards the workstations. Well, except for that guy, he doesn't want to work. Which, honestly, same, bro. Same. But you can see these other 2 villagers are going to work in their workstations. That guy almost got pushed off. Now, you are going to want to wait until night at the same time. And that is because you want these villagers to be on top of their workstations, which is not guaranteed when it is during the day. It doesn't look like this guy is gonna... Hey, get up there. Times set night. See if he'll go up now. He will not go up. It does appear he is looking for that bed. But, as you can see, these other villagers are going up to their beds. You can see that these villagers, you'll be able to see that these villagers are asleep. Once these villagers are asleep, once all 3 villagers are up here and asleep, which it looks like that guy's trying to get to the bed. Let's see if I can nudge him in the direction of the staircase. But once all 3 villagers are up in their respective beds and sleeping, you are going to want I'm using the boat that is meant for the zombie now. You may have to use the boat that is allotted for the zombie to get these villagers out and into their beds up at the farm. Now, for getting the villager out of the boat and eventually the zombie as well, you are going to first want to hit F3 and B, especially with villagers, as you want to ensure you are hitting the boat and not the villager itself. You should not be able to see, whether it's at the crosshair or down on the hotbar, you should not be able to see the hit entity icon. What you are going to want to do is you are going to want to hit the boat closer to the respective staircase. And you may want to trap villagers beforehand as well. Up. Hold on. Putting him closer to the staircase may have worked. Yes, putting him closer to the staircase works, and that is something that will work most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, it is a method that will work to get the villagers into their beds. And once again, once all 3 villagers are asleep, you're going to want to break this entire bridge. You want to break the bridge, because you don't want the villagers crossing paths into each other's spaces. Now you may run into workspace problems and you may have to then replace workstations, which is something you can tower up to the farm to do. And I think we are going to see that once I turn this back to day. So once all 3 villagers are up there, you can wait for the end of the night, or if you want to, the same night, you can get the zombie up there, but I would recommend waiting until the next night to ensure that all villagers are going down and working in their workstations. You can do this by towering up, or if you have free cam, going and looking at the villagers. And you can see here already there is a problem. This villager over here wants to make it to this workstation. This villager wants to make it to a different workstation. So you may have to end up building different workstations, end up building up and replacing workstations. Shouldn't be too hard. You want to position yourself in the center 2 blocks away from here, then you want to build up until you are just below the workstation. Then once you stop jumping, you want to break the workstation. Then you want to go to the side by 1 block and build up to where you can place a fletching table and a carpet, quickly breaking the blocks so that the villager does not pathfind to it. Then you can see that all villagers are now working at their respective workstation. Then, once you can confirm all villagers are working at their respective workstation, you can destroy this pillar that you have created and wait for the next night. Once it has become dark enough for zombies, what you want to do is you want to let a zombie spawn. So say that zombie naturally spawned and I'm luring it slowly toward the farm. What you want to do, if you're currently in the process of getting villagers, or you are currently in the process of getting the villagers up, is you want to trap the zombie in the boat. Once you are confirmed it is in the boat, you want to completely encase the zombie in a 2x2 or 3x3 space, ensuring that there is a ceiling so that the zombie does not burn. This ceiling, the inside of this, can be 2 blocks tall, and optionally, you may want to place a torch to ensure other mobs do not spawn. And you can see here, when I set the time back to day, this zombie will not burn. And because the zombie is sitting in a boat, at least in 121.8, when this version of the farm was built and this tutorial was being filmed, mobs inside of boats, including this zombie, will never despawn, which is why there is no name tag or equivalent required for this farm. So now what you want to do during the day is, once you are sure you have a trapped zombie, you want to go and you want to center yourself up with the kill chamber. And what you want to do is you want to go back reasonably far enough, and you want to begin to build a staircase up to where you will eventually place the boat and get the zombie. Now, you are here, but that does not mean you are completed with this bridge. What you want to do with the entire bridge, except for this slab here, is you want to place a block that iron golems cannot spawn on each of these blocks, so that when you get the zombie up here, the golem spawns down there and not up here, killing the zombie and putting you back to square one in terms of the zombie. Now, it doesn't have to be the entire length of the bridge, but if you want to be safe, it's good to go down to the ground. I think the actual number for this will be put in the description, but I believe it is 16 on the X and Z and 8 on the Y from one of the villagers is how far you need to place it. Once again, if you want to be safe, just build the entire thing. Now, what this block can be is listed on the wiki. It can be stuff like torches, buttons, or redstone components, as well as transparent blocks like glass and slabs and such. Once you have the entire bridge constructed, you can wait until night, and once it is night, you can set this zombie free. Just like what you did with moving the villager toward this staircase for the villagers, you want to break the boat the zombie is in. Now, unlike the villager, you can't just walk into the zombie. You have to kind of do like a circle and get the zombie and get the boat from behind the zombie. So in the case that the zombie dies, you just want to re-trap the zombie. Oh no, that guy has a sword. But in the case of a zombie death, what you're going to want to do is re-trap the zombie in largely the same way as before. Now, one thing that you should definitely build is a way out. One way that you can do this is by putting water in a pit, in a like 2x2 hole maybe. That's not very far from the farm. This way there's a way for you to get down, and also you should carry a water bucket in case you have to drop down an MLG instead. Alternatively, you could land in the kill chamber. That's an XP orb, by the way. You can land in the kill chamber, put everything into the hopper, and then jump into the lava to get out. But once you have a second zombie trapped in much the same way, wait until you heal in case it hits you too hard. One easy way to do this is saturation healing. And then you can break the boat and retrieve the boat if you're only using one in largely the same way. Then you just want to go up, ensure and before luring the zombie, you want to ensure that there are no blocks any villager can spawn on. And you You want to ensure there are no blocks villagers can wake up on. You're going to want to shift and back all the way up. And then you want to break the block you are standing on. And I guess I am falling into the kill chamber. So once again, you want to drop your entire inventory to ensure you do not lose anything. And you might want to put non-stacks first so that they just get sent. But yeah, you want to send everything through these hoppers. And then you can try escaping through the lava. You will most likely be unsuccessful, but if you have a pool of water, you can go there. And as you can see, the farm's already working. There's already 2 golems. But this staircase here is kind of ugly. So once the zombie is in and you are down out of the farm, you want to go back up and you want to break all of these temporary blocks. Now, you may lose some blocks up here on the spawning platform, but that is entirely okay. Unless you use a block that is really important to you, then at which point you can parkour, and then parkour back, if you built the staircase correctly, or in the correct positioning. Now, when breaking this staircase, especially up closer to the farm, you want to make sure you are breaking the block and not the torch first, because in those few ticks, an iron golem can spawn, which will ultimately disable the farm unless you are able to lure the golem away from the zombie. Now, whether you died to the lava or not, you want to go back down to the chest and you should retrieve all of your items. That is Q, not 1. And once you have retrieved all of your items, the farm is now working. The farm is now completely built, and you have yourself a simple iron farm that works during the night and the day. Let me turn daylight cycle on. And you can see if I increase the tick rate to 200, 10 times game speed, you can see that this farm does indeed work. I'm not going to increase it above 200 because I like my computer. But you can see the farm is working during the day. And then once it gets to around mid-morning, whenever these villagers stop working, which you'll be able to see by them just standing on the head of their bed, that is when the farm will not work. During the day, it works for about 50% of the day, but it works entirely overnight, which is perfect for AFK sessions. That is loud, but you can even see as it starts to get to night. Let me turn this back down to 20. But you can even see as it's night, the farm works, and now you have yourself unlimited iron. Look, in the time that I was explaining this farm, you already have over a stack of iron. So, yeah. That's it for the farm, I guess. I am going to clean up here. But yeah, that's really it. You have yourself now an early iron farm that produces 300 plus iron per hour. If you want to see more farms like this, do make sure to like, subscribe, and comment what farm you would like to be made next. And for those wondering, yes, this is an original design, and yes, it was originally designed in 121.9 snapshots. So, yeah, that'll be it for this farm. See ya!